Artis Gilmore. More like Artist Gilmore. He got cheated last year, man. Nobody disagrees with that. It's just a well-known fact, as Rick Barry is now affectionately referred to as Rigged Barry. Forcing a Game 7 off of a scorer's table error? It's a good thing he didn't go on to win the title, because nobody would have respected that. But still, Gilmore gave the Bulls a legit chance as anybody to win the championship, so it doesn't make that part any better. However, the 1978 season did. It was a total revenge tour. Gilmore simply left nothing to chance, averaging 32 points, 20 rebounds, top 3 in the league in both of those stats, and as far as defense, he was simply in a league of his own. But being able to recoup and take that all the way to the mountaintop was still a daunting task in this Western Conference. It's the most brutal one to date. Despite the lack of an even halfway decent point guard, Gilmore led the Bulls to a 64-18 record, and it still wasn't good enough. It was second in the West. Bill Walton led the Blazers to the first seed. After having lost the previous MVP vote by 1, he had some demons to conquer as well. Rick Barry was right behind Chicago, 61 wins. David Thompson, with the addition of Walt Frazier, the reigning champions, 60-22. Bernard King burst onto the scene in Phoenix where the sun was shining bright. He got them to 59 wins. They weren't even in the playoffs last year. And to cap it all off, Kareem's Lakers, with the addition of rookie Marcus Johnson, who had an incredible first campaign, 57 wins. If, and only if, Gilmore was able to lift them out of this conference, they likely had either the 75-7 Buffalo Braves, who were now a solidified super team waiting on them, championship DNA Boston Celtics, or the 65-17 76ers, who'd added a defensive player of the year. It was an uphill battle from the start. I guess you could say there was not a lot Gilmore he could do. He unanimously won the MVP though. It wasn't even close. He had the stats, the wins, the narrative. People were really rooting for this guy to get back. And you could just tell his heart was in this season. He went for the Defensive Player of the Year too. So he was trying to one-up David Thompson from last year. He could add a championship and a finals MVP to an MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. He got off to a good start in that respect, sweeping the Milwaukee Bucks. No need for that one to have been on national TV. Alex English hasn't come along yet. I'm guessing he could use an advanced language arts class. Being that the Warriors were a 3rd seed and they were able to get past Kareem's Lakers quite easily, we got an exact rematch of the second round last year. Gilmore v. Barry, the sequel. This was obviously going to be a close one as the Warriors took game 1 on their home floor. Through 4, the series was tied. They got up 3-2, and this time in a completely legal manner, the Warriors tied it. A second straight year of Game 7 in Chicago v. Golden State. Rather uneventful ending though. Game 7 was in Chicago. There was no way Gilmore was letting this one slip. The Bulls advanced to the conference finals. Happy Gilmore. Meanwhile, on the other side of the bracket, David Thompson was doing his thing again. King may have been his last name, but he still had to earn it. And in the first round, Phoenix was swept by the champions. Thompson once again proved his supremacy over Bill Walton, 4-2. So the conference finals would go on to be a match between the former MVP and the current MVP. Chicago would go on to get it done. Despite having added Walt Frazier, the guard play was really kind of redundant, and losing Connie Hawkins over the offseason was a big blow to their wing play. He gave them a good bit of size and strength they could have used here, and without him, the champs would fall in 6. After having been wronged a year before, Gilmore pulled this one out of the mud. There was only one issue. Buffalo was superior. To be frank, they were superior to just about any team in the league now. There was a reason they'd only lost 7 games throughout the season, despite that stat being inflated by playing multiple non-existent teams. The arrival of Moses. This squad was already stacked with Randy Smith, Adrian Dantley, Bob McAdoo, and Malone, who had been a 6-man through most of the previous season. This year he got the starting gig and his numbers shot. So depending on who you ask, this Braves team was running a big 4. It took a pretty brave opponent to think they could compete. In the end, the closest anybody got was Dr. J's Sixers. They were pretty stacked as well. Adding Maurice Lucas was huge, but there's just not a lot you can do against a team that was essentially running 10 towers and had great wing play. So Gilmore had a nice story, but the real revenge story here was the reigning Eastern Conference champions. The team that a year ago would fall into the hands of David Thompson came back, improved, and without injuries, this could go on for quite some time. The Bulls were not even in the same stratosphere, and if we're being quite honest, there's really not a team on this bracket in the same tier. He can try again next year though. For now, I guess it's more like unhappy Gilmore. With the first pick in the 1978 NBA draft, the New Jersey Nets select Michael Thompson. Hey, that's a great pick. He's actually available, he's going to play this year, unlike the second pick. The Kansas City Kings went with a stash and will soon be flying high with a lad by the name of Larry Bird. The kid is apparently some wizard with the basketball, but he's gonna have to do quite a bit to outdo the rookie year of Bernard King, and he's not even going to have a chance to do that till next year. Dan Issel apparently knows who's next, as he has left the Nuggets and David Thompson for Bernard King's Suns. Due to his accurate shooting, they actually call him Dave Missile, Pearl, and he has locked on to Phoenix. Earl the Pearl has been released. New Orleans has realized the need to get Pete Maravich an actual basketball team, and so those two will create a highlight factory in New Orleans this year. And they picked up John Havlicek, who is apparently in his last season. We'll see if he has anything left. And finally, being unable to find any Lucky Charms in Boston, Dave Cowens has skipped town for Indiana to team up with Nate Archibald. So if they go on to win the championship, you'll be able to say the Pacers. Archibald. 1979 season coming right up on Twitch. Link in the comment section and description.